The meeting is recorded. And also, when it comes to citizens' comments, you will have the ability to either unmute yourself or put a message into the chat box to be acknowledged. But everybody does have the capability of unmuting themselves.
Okay.
So I'll begin with making a motion to approve the minutes from the Board of Selectmen special meeting on June. I don't think it was a special meeting though. The Board of Selectmen meeting from June 2nd, 2020. That wasn't a special meeting, was it? It's on the agenda.
No.
Special meeting.
If you made the motion, I'll second it.
Okay, I made the motion. Ken has the second. Any discussion on the minutes? Okay, I have just a couple things, Dottie, that I wanted just corrected. Under Selectmen comments, the big hit in the parade was a backhoe. I didn't think I said payloader. I hope I didn't say payloader. It should have been a backhoe. Not that it's not that important, but in particular it says, and thanks to the Prescotts. It should have been thanks to Elmer Preston. He's the post commander of the VFW. He helped really to put the parade together. So that's Elmer Preston, Preston. So I'd just like to make those two changes. Okay. So we have a motion on the floor in a second, and I've made some changes. So all in favor of accepting the minutes with those changes, say aye.
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 And the motion passes. We have correspondence from the Department of Emergency Services and Public Protection. Unfortunately, when I looked at it today, it is addressed to the town of Scotland. And I was thinking the numbers of calls to the town were pretty low. And then I looked and it was actually the town of Scotland. So we're going to seek a correction and hopefully get correspondence the next meeting that's accurate.
Okay.
The second correspondence that we had received was from the Thompson Recreation Commission. It was in regard to the summer adventure camp. And unfortunately, due to the expenses that were going to be charged to the camp for use of the school, they were not going to be able to do camp this year. And it's a really good letter that Leslie had drafted, just saying that, you know, we're in this together. And I know we had a meeting today, just to let you know, with the superintendent and discuss before and after school program, and that is going to move forward in the fall, although it will additionally look slightly different, but not completely. So COVID-19 has done that to us all. So, is there any other correspondence?
I didn't have any.
I don't have any either.
Okay. So I will move on to agenda item 3, Selectmen comment.
Question, didn't you
Andy,
get
I'm having some internet issues. I'm going to switch over to my laptop while we're talking, so it might be a little...
Good.
I have a question. Can you hear me, Amy?
Yes, I can.
I believe that the Thompson Trails Committee submitted a letter that was supposed to be in the correspondence, and also a report from Connecticut Trail Census.
I don't have anything from Connecticut Trail Census, but the letter that you're referring to is actually agenda item 8.
Okay.
So I actually put it as an agenda item, and I was going to read the letter this evening.
Okay. I just didn't want it to be overlooked as a correspondence. The other items, the Connecticut Trail Census, I copied you and Ken and Rich Benoit and several people from the Trails Committee. It shows graphs depicting the usage on the airline trail where we have a counter last year to this year, and the amount is significant. And so it's supporting documentation that in the long run should be considered as part of the letter asking for a higher priority.
Right.
Okay.
Did you send that this afternoon?
No, yesterday or the day before, but I will resend. I can resend it now.
Did you send it to First Selectmen or did you send it to
I
Selectmen?
sent it to First Selectmen,
No.
and I sent one to Ken. And I didn't have Suzanne's email in my files, so I just sent it to you two along with the supporting documentation. I have it all up here on different tabs, and I can pull it over and send it to you.
Yeah,
Or find it
yeah.
and resend it. I'll do that.
I don't have my first, so I'm on my laptop, my personal laptop at home, and I don't have the First Selectmen's email there. But you could potentially, if it's on your laptop, Charlie, you could share the screen maybe later with the document.
I don't know. I'm using my phone to tie into the
Okay.
meeting. So I don't know how to, I suppose I can pull it up on the screen and then show it to you at that point in the meeting.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I'll step away and let you get back to business.
Okay. That's okay. This is the business. This is part of the business.
Okay, I'm going to mute.
Okay, so agenda item 3, Selectmen's comments. Any Selectmen's comments? Suzanne, you're muted. There you go. Wait.
Sorry, yeah, I don't have any comments tonight.
Ken?
The only comment that I have is I saw they did the back parking lot up behind the town hall. It's a project that we've been trying to get done for the last few years. It's very safety oriented with the situation out back. It's good that it was done. So thank you to the highway crew for accomplishing that and finishing it up.
All right. Okay, so the only comments that I have is Town Hall is reopening on Monday, June 29th.
Well, that's good.
Yes, tax payments will be accepted. We're asking residents to park at the rear of the building in the new parking lot and enter through that rear entrance. There will be a security staff member from the school who's helping us out. They will let 2 people in the building at a time to prevent a log jam of people. Other offices will be open by appointment only, and masks will be required when coming into the building. Additionally, I keep forgetting, I want to remind residents to subscribe to our email notifications. You can go right to our website and find the link to subscribe. You can choose specific departments, boards, and commissions, and you can be in the know and know what's going on in town. Additionally, I'm pleased to announce that Riverside Park lights are fully functional, and I give thanks to Rich Benoit for arranging the work with the electrician and getting this taken care of for the town. More than half of the lights were out when I was notified by a resident, and you know, Rich made it a priority to get those lights back up and running. Earlier, before all of this took place, we had a list from our Parks and Recreation of various projects that were going to need to be attended to. And I'm really happy because Rich has gotten a good portion. He's almost got half of those projects done for us. I think one of the next things is the graffiti that is found in the park that leads to behind the Knights of Columbus. I can't remember what that park is called.
Heritage Park.
Heritage Park, thank you. There's lots of graffiti, and he arranged with a company that's going to come and sandblast it. It's a pretty simple process. So that's going to be taking place hopefully within the next month. And that's all of my comments. I was hoping to have maybe you or Ken, you or Suzanne, make a motion to add an agenda item, or if you could approve making a motion to add an agenda item to other business. I received a call from Chris and Andrea Smith. They own the Country Garden Daycare. They are working with the state DOT in the hopes of getting a bus sign near their daycare facility. Know that if you're familiar with it, it's very close to the exit ramp of 395, and people come flying off the exit ramp. So it's a concern because they are a bus stop, and they do have kids that are dropped, quite a few kids. It's not just one person. It's quite a few children that pick up the bus there. and they're concerned for the safety of the staff and, of course, the children. And what DOT had informed them is that they need a letter from the Selectmen's office stating that we approve of a sign being placed there. So I'd like to add it to other business as a discussion and possible action.
I'll second your motion.
Okay, so I've made the motion to add to the item other business, discussion and possible action, bus sign at Country Garden Daycare. Ken has seconded. Any further discussion on this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that motion passes, so we'll add that to other business.
Okay, before we move on, just asking about the lights in the village and the park. Do we know what the cause of the outage was?
There was some wiring issues within the main box, I believe, and then there was also a light post that had completely lost its globe and was completely exposed to the elements, which caused problems as well, like a shortage. They did replace a few other lights that needed replacement, but other than that, everything's back up and running, and hopefully vandalism is limited, because certainly that's a huge part of what causes the problems.
That's too bad.
Yeah. So at this point, I'll move on to agenda item number 4, citizens' comments. And again, you can feel free to unmute yourself, or you can put something into the chat box and you'll be acknowledged. Any citizens' comments at this time? Just gonna give it a minute or two. Okay, last call, citizens' comments. All right, we will move on to agenda item 5, Community Fire Department request for a boot drive. To whom it may concern, the Community Fire Department is requesting permission to hold a semi-annual boot drive at the town transfer station on June 20th, so that's this Saturday, from the hours of 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. If there are any questions or concerns, please contact Rocky Navarro at 860, and he gives his number. Thank you in advance. Just to let you know, I ran this by Rich just to see what his thoughts were, and he had no problem with them doing the boot drive, but I'd like to hear from Suzanne, you and Ken.
This is Ken. I have no issues with it, as long as they do the social distancing and the recommendations provided by the governor. We should allow this to take place. So I'll make a motion that we allow them to hold their boot drive.
Okay.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to allow Community Fire Department to hold a boot drive this coming Saturday. Any further discussion?
I also do not have a problem with them having a boot drive. I think it'll be fine and they should continue.
Yep.
It's a fundraise, yeah.
And if anybody will follow the guidelines, I believe it will be our EMS.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and that motion passes. Okay, next is agenda item 6, the resignation of Jared Lockwood. He is resigning because he is moving out of state. Resigning from as the alternate for the Zoning Board of Appeals. I would make a motion that we accept with regret the resignation of Jared Lockwood from the Zoning Board of Appeals.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor of accepting this resignation with regret?
Aye.
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 Agenda item 7, the reappointment of Diane M. Keefe to the Recreation Commission for the Town of Thompson, term to expire April 15th, 2023. I'll make a motion that we reappoint Diane M. Keefe to the Recreation Commission for the Town of Thompson with her term to expire April 15th, 2023.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the reappointment?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Now on to agenda item 8, the Thompson Trails Committee. I'd like to read into record the letter that was sent to my office, to my attention and to the attention of the Board of Selectmen. The Trails Committee would like to request that the airline trail be treated as with a sense of urgency as part of the integral infrastructure of Thompson, Connecticut. Outdoor activities and specifically the extensive trail system have been cited by NECOG in the branding and marketing study as being a key component of interest in the town and a possible driver of the town's economic future. The airline trail in particular has been identified as a key component for the following reasons. It is a multi-town trail. It is the location of the tri-state marker. It is the location of the Great East Thompson train wreck. It has been recognized as a planning project by the National Park Service. It serves as a component leg of the Hartford Marathon Group Rymacon relay race. It does not, at present, receive surface maintenance support from its owner, the state of Connecticut, whose those tasks falling to the towns where the trails pass through. It is the focus of a 12-town task force for the state of Connecticut future funding priorities for major upgrades like bridges. The airline trail has been a focus for the Thompson Trails Committee for these above reasons. The town government has in the past been supportive of the all-volunteer trails group. The committee is totally self-funded primarily through contributions and sponsorships from the running of the annual 5K turkey trot. In addition, while asking no funding from the town, the Trails Committee has participated in helping the town initiatives like the wayfinding initiatives with financial support from its own fundraising efforts. The airline trail is currently seeing a vast expansion in use due to the current social distancing regulations, and in turn is seeing a large percentage of first-time users, many from Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Anecdotal data, and this is in quotes, anecdotal data from committee members, discussions with trail users, as well as trail census data. We ask that the Board of Selectmen act with the Department of Public Works to prioritize the work to the trail that has begun 3 years ago, the completion of the Stone Dust Project, particularly the area between Lowell Davis Road and Sand Dam Road. This area is most cited by users as the most difficult to pass through, especially if riding bicycles. Essentially, Thompson is creating its own gap in the continuous trail by not maintaining the surface in that area. Last year, this project was put on hold as the more important priority of resurfacing roads was attended to, with paving money available for that work. We would like to see the surface of the aforementioned trail section addressed sooner rather than later, as well as repairs to eroded areas of previously surfaced sections, along with continued work to control weed growth. This should not be an afterthought for whatever time DPW has left at the end of the warm weather season. It should be addressed when it does most good for the town. Every day that passes exposes the town as being indifferent to its resources rather than valuing those resources and their potential for the future. Thank you for your attention to this issue, and it's signed the members of the Thompson Trails Committee in conjunction with Thompson Economic Development Commission's Branding and Implementation Committee. Leslie Munshauer, Recreation Director, Thompson Recreation Department. And I think, Charlie, let me just see if I can put you.
Okay, I pulled up the 2019 trail counts.
Okay, you know what?
Charlie,
For the town
of Thompson.
I put you completely as the main focus on the screen if you want to talk about this.
Okay, this is a chart showing 2019 usage on the trail. April, we showed 276. May, we showed 977. June, we showed 961. And then the high point of the year was in August at 1,165. This chart shows 2020. In February, we had 1,159. This is before the COVID. In March, we had 2,835. And in April, 3,000. 632, and in May, 4,446. So it's obvious that the trail is increasingly popular. And the chart, which comes from the Connecticut Trail Census, shows that the same thing is true throughout the state at any of the trails or the entire state. It's for these reasons that we are encouraging the work to be done between Lowell Davis Road and Sandam Road. As that letter points out, that's the worst area to ride a bike. There's something called trap stone that literally grabs your tires as you're riding through. It's very uncomfortable for walking and for jogging. The Recreation Department, or rather the Trails Committee and EDC is looking at this airline trail as being an economic engine in the town. Our goal is to see people who will park their car, look at the train wreck site, and ride their bicycle down to North Grosvenor-Dale to get a pizza and a beer, or to Elby's and get a lunch. And it is something that has happened in community after community when these trails go in. So we're doing a lot of work, we're doing a lot of planning. We're still waiting to hear back from the state to find out for sure if they are going to be allocating funds for the stone dust, and also what their expectations are of the various towns like East Hampton and Portland, or any other town where these trails have gone through. And I've worked on rail trail projects since 1992 when I lived in Rhode Island, and every community took the local responsibility for maintenance, while the big jobs, building the bridges or the underpasses like we see going on right now in Pomfret, those are state projects. And so we're expecting, in the long run, we're expecting 2 bridges that will allow for bicyclists and pedestrians to go over the top of the airline trail, and a couple of smaller bridges that are currently in place but have no guardrails that will need to be updated. Those will be state projects. And the other ones will be at the train wreck site and up to the state line. That's already in pretty good shape for bike riding and walking. But we want to put in something in the train wreck, the old East Thompson train station properties that will be a destination point. We've got self-guided tours using QR codes, and we've got plans for clearing that area out and making it more presentable and accessible and safer. And those are things that probably next year or the year after we'll be expecting cooperation with Department of Public Works. But mostly the big project is Sandam Road to Lowell Davis, and keeping the weeds mowed down more timely, probably twice a season, maybe only once, if it's done at the right time. And I don't know, I think Brian LaFrido was going to be attending. He said he's the one that drafted the letter, and he may have something to add, but that's my summary of it. And I'll answer questions, certainly.
Yes, Charlie, I'm here, but you did a great job on that. I couldn't have explained it better than my letter. I think I'm really passionate about this. I think the letter shows that. I hope it shows the need sufficiently. I certainly understand, and I have written to Amy, that DPW has fallen behind because of COVID, and they have a lot of work to do. I also feel like this is still something that should be a priority, and a priority before the end of the season, because the numbers prove it. We've got 4,000 people this year, last month, versus, what was it, 1,000 the year before. And as you said, Charlie, even if that's counting people going back and forth in front of the counter, it's still a 400% increase from the year before. This is when
Yes.
we should have already been ready, but we could still get ready for the people that want to use this and see Thompson. And I just think it's important. Again, I think Rich has done an outstanding job since he joined us. Maybe it's a matter of fighting for more budget for that department. I don't know what the solution is. Maybe it's just a matter of asking Rich to accomplish more or to change his priorities. Most of you know I work at Walmart, and when I'm asked to accomplish something, I'm given a deadline. I'm expected to meet that deadline. Doesn't matter how much payroll I have. Doesn't matter what obstacles I have. I'm expected to meet the deadline. And if I can't do it, I'll be replaced. If my manager can't do it, she'll be replaced. I don't know. Are we even asking enough? Are we prioritizing things enough? I have no idea what the condition of that parking lot was at the town hall. Okay, it got done. That's terrific. But that parking lot was used by town hall employees, not even by the public. We're talking about a trail that's being used by over 2,000 people a month. I think that says more than what I could say in my letter. And I just really hope that Selectmen, I don't know who is Rich's immediate boss, if that's you, Amy, that we somehow consider this as being an important part of Thompson and not, as the letter said, an afterthought if we have time left on the third week of November.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Charlie, for your insight. Suzanne and Ken, do you have anything to express at this point?
All the project that Rich is doing are extremely important. Between the paving, a couple of months of this COVID has not helped any of the towns trying to get things done. But yet we do have that social distancing and the trail usage, which does make it quite important, to help our townspeople and, keep up with the COVID. Maybe there's a possibility. I know I read the information from Rich, what his plans are. They're very aggressive, and a lot of that will be based on availability of the reclaiming company that comes in and their timeframes and what he may have to do on some of the roads prior to get some of this done. So, there's always a possibility of, if the paving company can't come in, that he's got an extra few days. It might be something as simple as just running the grader down through and, trying to level that out. And, it's a tough balancing act. Everything that he does and everything our recreation and trails all do is very, very important, even as far as the economic. Maybe we can find a day or two, during the summer where we can chip away at this a little bit and try and make it as, get some of it accomplished. Where in the fall, if there is stone dust, that, we may be ahead a little bit to lay it down. But that would be some of the discussions that you, Amy, would have with, Rich, and it's going to be based on vacations and everything. It's a tough juggling act, and hopefully we can get to a lot of things this year.
Suzanne?
Can I ask how you measure the number of people that are using the trail?
Yes, there's a infrared sensor that's mounted on a, it's actually bolted to a tree. In this particular case, it is just to the north of the junction of East Thompson Road and New Road with the airline trail. So it's between that road and the state line.
Okay.
And it is, I check it every 4 to 6 weeks to make sure that it's functioning, that we haven't gotten spider webs built into it. Spiders like to build nests in there, and so do bees. So I check it, and then on a quarterly basis, somebody from the program that's coordinated by UConn comes over and they open up the unit and they can plug into a handheld computer, or I don't know exactly what their hardware looks like, but there's a printed circuit board that has a lot of pins, a lot of contact points, which they plug right into their unit, and it transfers the data. Then they take it back to Yukon, and there are 21 counters in the state, part of this program. I'll certainly send all three of you the links again, and you can browse it at your leisure. We've been part of this program since 2017, when it began. And in 2018, the data is in here, but it's not as easy to read. But sometime very, very early in 2019, we moved the counter. It was over at Lowell Davis Road. And we moved it over to the current location. And that's when we started to see that part of the trail. The hike to the tri-state marker is extremely popular, and interest in the train wreck site is extremely in high demand. And that's why we're working with the National Park Service to enhance that whole area, make it a real destination point. There's some really significant things up there to look at, and nice hiking, and and nice bike riding. So we're working with neighbors, and we're working with the federal Department of Parks, the state Department of Parks, and all of these volunteers, the Historical Society, EDC, Trails Committee, and Recreation Department all have keen interest in this succeeding. And it's the kind of thing that after it does succeed, you're going to be saying, how did we get by without it? I promise you, you're going to be astonished at how much good it's going to do for businesses in the town. So the counter is there. It's checked regularly. The data was downloaded the week before last, and this data is the most recent available. And it just came online less than a full week ago is when they came online for us.
So my only other question is, the trail has been opened during the state shutdown. Does that follow the executive order of the governor? And is there some sort of social distancing or requirement of PPE or anything?
We are asking that, but we have no way of being out there to enforce all that. I do have a secondary report that came in from this group, and it shows a number of trails throughout Connecticut. Most of them, our trail isn't on that report, but most of them show a general increase in user on it. A few did not, but only one trail was officially closed by the State Department of Parks because it was too narrow for people to have that 6-foot distance. I've been up there a couple of times, and I've seen people without masks, but they attended like they were family groups. And I don't know, if I went up there with my kids when they were that young, they'd be wearing masks because I'm a microbiologist by profession and career. I know how these things can hit. So the state had some guidelines out there. The trails were not officially shut. Some of them, except for that one. And I can find out the name of that, but I don't remember which one it was.
No, the only other question is for Amy is, I'm assuming that Rich or the DPW has been consulted and is aware of what's the request is or the letter that was received?
They are, and I do want to share Rich's thoughts and his potential timeline of things that he wanted to get done this year, which would include the airline trail. But first, I have two people that are raising their hands. Is it okay if we just see what they wanted to say?
Sure.
I think it was Karen first. I'm trying to unmute Karen. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay. I just want to point out a couple of things.
Wait, can you just state your name and address?
My name's Karen Durlock, and I'm chair of the Trails Committee.
Thank you. Sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
No, that's okay. Just that the data that we have, I want to point out, is that section where we have a counter, but there are people using the rest of the trail. And we are the northern section, and it connects to all the other towns in the 12-town trail project. And if we don't have that, people are up in the northern section, and they would probably use even more of the trail if it was completed. And the other thing I want to point out, I know Rich is really busy, and his predecessor inherited this stone dust project. So it's not like a new request. It's been on for a while. Leslie sent me an email that makes a lot of sense, and she talked about how the recreation department sets up in January, February, what they would hope would happen. And I think it's a good idea for the trails department, the trails committee, to work out those expectations for next year. But I don't want this to be put off because we haven't done it this year. But if we, as the trails committee, can work closer with Department of Public Works to get all the possible projects on their calendar, that would probably help.
And Leslie?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak on two things. One, the Board of Selectmen did recommend an increase in the parks budget this year that was declined by the Board of Finance. The budget has maintained a steady budget for, I think when I looked back, 7 years. And so, oftentimes it's projects like this that maybe, aren't completed due to funding, where one project may come forward above the other due to limited funds. So I think before COVID occurred, we had set that budget and asked for some more funds, knowing some projects that we had on the table. One of the things that was my oversight is really, and I think going forward to what Karen mentioned, is that I will, include trails in that, budget process as it is our trails and parks. That we're maintaining in whatever portions we are responsible for, and knowing those projects. We have had great success, and Amy, you mentioned earlier that, we had that warm Saturday in January where we were fortunate enough to go out and take a look at some of our parks and make that list, and those things were on DPW's, radar in January, February for projects this spring. And I think that it's just going to be a matter of looping trails in that, process as well. So they're also on our radar for the spring projects, but also in the budget season, so we're knowing those projects in January and can present them to the Board of Selectmen and to the Board of Finance. I think that the data that Trails presented, really shows, again, the use and what the funds are needed for, when we know that we can track how many folks are using our trails. So. Yeah, and we have had great success, like you said, Amy, with Rich and DPW getting those projects done that we identified in January. I think going forward and being able to establish some of those projects early on and create a calendar, then that would be helpful. I'm certainly willing to work with Trails on that, Karen.
Can I make one more point that came to mind with Karen Durloch's comment? This is Charlie Over. The other side of the state line, there's something called the Southern New England Trunk Trail that goes from the border that I'm showing you on this map to the Blackstone River Valley Bike Path. And their section is nearly complete. And because of that, the Blackstone River Valley Bike Path and the trail in Putnam are part of something called the East Coast Greenway. And the East Coast Greenway goes from Calais, Maine to Key West, Florida. it is a magnet for funding at state and federal levels. And they have an item that's going in on their agenda for the next time that they meet, which will designate Thompson's Link and the SNET Trail as complementary links to the East Coast Greenway. And that in and of itself will allow this logo down the bottom of the screen here, the East Coast Greenway logo, we're going to be attracting people from Boston to New York City are going to be coming through here on long distance bike rides. Just so put that on your radar because it's there and it's coming along. And I'm finished now. I'm definitely finished.
Ken, Suzanne, anything else?
Nothing else from me, I don't think. I just would like to hear what Rich's comments are.
First of all, Mr. Lafredo, I just would like to address one thing. I'm highly offended that you would even suggest replacing an employee of the town of Thompson when you don't know that the work that they do. Every single employee at the town of Thompson in the town hall, I am so impressed with how much they do with so little. To make the suggestion that we would even entertain the thought of letting such a valuable employee go is just, it's just unconscionable. That being said, I appreciate the trails. I think they are a fabulous part. It's what Thompson has to offer. And I did receive an email back in the middle of May, I think it was, from Mr. Lafredo wanting this to become a priority. And I did speak to Rich about it, and I knew it was going to become a priority, but I knew there was obstacles that he was facing. There hasn't been a time that I haven't asked Rich to get something done that he doesn't follow through on it. And this will be the case for the airline trail too. But what I'd like to share right now is just what he's sent to the Board of Selectmen so that we all can understand the work that he has planned and how the trails will fit into that work. Members of the Board of Selectmen, in response to the letter that was submitted to yourselves by the Thompson Trails Committee, I would like to offer my insight to the ongoing projects and plans that we have for this construction season. I understand that the volunteers that make up the Trails Committee are very passionate about their ideas and work they see fit to do on the airline trail. I do not believe that submitting what I felt was a demand letter was timed appropriately due to the current situation in our world today. It is easy to understand that trail use has increased substantially due to COVID-19 and the lack of many other recreational activities. As much as I can understand the desire to offer the best possible circumstance for the users of the trail, now is not the time where it can become the #1 priority job for the DPW. We lost over a month of time in our schedule for the year due to COVID-19. 2 of our employees were sent home for 2.5 months due to being over the age of 65. With remaining DPW employees being split up 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off from the end of March through the beginning of May, the main focus was keeping the transfer station open. This meant 2 workers at the transfer station and 1 worker hauling trash 2 days per week. The remaining single worker covered the highway garage for the week with the assistance of myself and/or the other employee available when not hauling trash. This resulted in a service reduction, but not a service interruption at the transfer station, and someone to handle whatever small fires came up on the roads. Currently, we have just finished the upper lot of the town hall. This was done in order to get it out of the way before folks started to come in to pay their taxes after July 1. It was a project that had been on the back burner for 4 to 5 years now, and we needed to see it through before it became any more unsafe. Next, we will be installing a retaining wall at 395 Brandy Hill Road as part of last year's resurfacing project on the road. The wall will help to reinforce the steep embankment that is currently unstable and washing away when it rains. From there, we need to backfill the edges of Brandy Hill, Galrin, and finish Red Bridge Road, also to finish up from last year's road projects. We have all-state asphalt coming out this week to drill core samples on Quadic Road so that information can be provided to the state along with the collector road grant application for funding the resurfacing of that road. And this is going to represent 90% reimbursement if we can get this grant. We have guardrails installed and repairs that need scheduling, and a plethora of dead trees that still need to be removed. I think we get a call almost every single day about dead trees that are dangerous and that are hazardous. Roadside mowing should be getting started soon if we can break away the manpower to get it done. Mowing of the parks and cemeteries are getting done sporadically. We received 2 applications for the summer help positions, and neither candidate is viable for our current needs. And why aren't they getting applications? Because a lot of people are on unemployment and getting the extra $600. And I think we all know that. So there's nobody applying for these part-time jobs. All of these things are on the short list in terms of current priorities for the DPW. Beyond the short list, we have a list of much needed road projects scheduled for this season. We need to remove, regrade, and pave the first 800 feet of Porter Plain Road to fix an ongoing issue of stormwater from the road going in residents' yards, basements, instead of into the storm drains. While we are there, the plan is to also mill and pave Liberty Lane. Next, we have a serious drainage issue on Colonial Drive that we will rectify by removing the current catch basin and honeycomb drain, remove the asphalt, bring in material to raise the pitch of the road so that the water runs off properly before repaving. While the milling machine is in town for the Colonial Drive job, we plan on having it remove the asphalt over the culvert at the end of Babula Road near its intersection with Sandam Road so that we can reshape that area and repave it so the water drains off the road surface instead of destroying it. We are also looking into the possibility of reclaiming and paving the length of Sunset Hill Road before the year is out, assuming we have time to prepare for it, while accomplishing what has been previously mentioned. Once construction season is over, and please keep in mind that you can only get asphalt from the paving plants for a certain amount of time, and it's now, we can typically find some time to work on projects like the Airline Trail. I know that this is not what the Trails Committee is willing to accept at this time, and I understand their reasoning. Unfortunately, I feel that our priorities as a town and my main priority as your Public Works Director is to focus on the safety of our motoring public first and foremost. The aforementioned list of projects is my plan this year to do just that, followed by any trail work or additional projects that can be done. I spoke to Rich about the project between Lowell Davis Road and Sandam Road, and it's not as simple as just showing up. The equipment has to be brought onto the trail. And it's a 2-stage process because there is a bridge that you can't complete the whole work without going over the bridge, and you can't get the equipment over the bridge. It's more than a month process because it's not just throwing down stone dust and tampering it down. There's some drainage issues. He has to raise up certain areas of it. It's not as simple as one would think. It is going to be a priority. It is going to happen, but I trust Rich's expertise. I don't know how to build a road. We don't tell the manager of Walmart how to manage Walmart. I don't think that we should be telling an experienced DPW director how to run the town. I accept I accept the work that he's planning. I know he's going to accomplish it, and I know that he's going to get the trail done. He'll probably get it done. In fact, I know he's going to get it done this year for you. He's talked about the weed problem. He said trail mowing is going to take place during the summer, and it's going to happen on rainy days. And the last thing that I want to point out is if this project becomes a month and a half long project, certain aspects of the trail will be shut down to the public. And I don't know that people will want that either. So that's just my 2 cents and sharing Rich's thoughts. We understand it is a priority, but I am going to stand behind what he thinks is right. And that's my thoughts.
So I'm not familiar with the trail, but other than to pass it weekly, but is this a safety concern that this trail should be shut down or something?
I would say that the trail doesn't need to be shut down, but it certainly is detracting from its usability and its comfort. And oh, by the way, I don't think any of us were, I know I wasn't, and I don't think any of the other members of the Trails Committee that I spoke with are telling Richard how to do his job. We're just asking if it could have been a higher priority. And I think Karen hit on it. Best of all, if we had been thinking of this back in January, we might have had some of the preliminary work done by now. It's the section that we're talking about is, as I said, between Sandham Road and Lowell Davis Road. The bridge that he spoke of is just where 193 goes through, right about where that 2.3 is on this map. It's a small bridge that goes over a livestock right away. They used to get their cows through there without getting hit by the train. There's another one further down. I think it's between Sunset Hill Road and Route 200. And I did touch briefly on those as I mentioned work that needs to be done. But this stretch here, underneath the 395 and from right as you're approaching Sandham Road are miserable sections for anybody to use. And for that reason, that's why our recommendation said, let's do this section next, and then we'll worry about the top, or we can coordinate it with a detailed plan of action, hopefully with some funding to be able to move this thing through. I also know that Rich posted something on the DPW web Facebook page, and the last time I looked at it, it was like 13 people saying yes, they liked it, and one person saying, what the heck is it? You know, there's a pothole in the road. So more people seem to be favorable about the idea of seeing the work done. And I'm sure he knows that. And I also know that, yeah, there's a limited amount of time when they can get the asphalt and do the paving. So who knows? Maybe when they're up there doing the grading on Porter Plain Road, they'll have the grader up there and they can do some of this section down to the bridge. I don't know. Do it in phases. That I don't pretend to know how to schedule all of that stuff.
To let you know, Charlie, it was Rich's plan to start it and see it through to completion.
Well, I can appreciate that also.
It's certainly very, very, very much on his radar, more than ever, and I know that it's something he's going to get done. I just know. Because he really does want to do what's right.
I believe you. And I thank you for your time, all of you. I think we probably wound up taking a lot more time than you anticipated this was going to.
No,
but,
that's okay. We usually have really short meetings, Charlie, so this is nice.
Well, as you said, members, or Rich said, one of you made a comment that maybe you said it for him. Members of the Trails Committee are very passionate about the maintaining and emphasizing the trails in a way that the residents of the town and the visitors to the town can enjoy them in safety. We got them, and and it's fairly low cost for what we can get out of it if we approach it correctly.
Karen, I think you had something to say.
Yeah, I just want to say that I don't think anybody was implying that we change personnel. Rich does a fantastic job. I know that from the Transfer Station Committee. I know he's really busy. I think the reason we needed to submit this letter is to get this formally into the radar, because even though we've been talking about it for a number of years, we don't get the feedback of I can do it, I can't do it, I can do it X, Y, Z. And so we need to get some response, basically. So that's why we're here.
And I think the one thing that just jumped into my mind as you were speaking, Karen, was that you want it done, but you know what? You want it done right. And the one thing I can really say is that Rich is going to do this trail right for you. He's going to make it so that it's not a problem. It'd be easy to just go in there and slap some dust down or just kind of make it quickly, quickly fix it up. But I know he's going to take really good care of it, and he's going to do it up right. So.
Well, the state also has some expectations in this.
Right.
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 I want to bring up one other thing. I don't know whether I should wait for citizens' comment, but it has to do with the same issue and safety, which was brought up. And you're going to talk about that bus stop later. I didn't get a response to the emails I sent you and Rich about trying to do some kind of a pedestrian crosswalk at New Road and East Thompson Road. And if that can also be put on the radar, signs, pedestrian crossing signs, because the residents in that area say they have seen a lot of near accidents.
So pedestrian crossing or deer crossing?
No, a pedestrian crossing. When people cross from the parking lot to go to the tri-state marker, that's a really bad curve.
Yeah, it is.
And cars come racing by there. We need to have a sign in both directions that say pedestrian crossing. And if something could be painted on the road, I don't know if it's Rich or the state road there, I'm not sure. But the way they have crossings at the golf course,
right,
and people use those. So instead of people crossing willy-nilly, they have a place where they know they can cross and some place where there's a good line of sight with the traffic coming.
And Karen, when did you send that email? Because now there's two emails that I don't seem to be getting, and I'm wondering if you have the right email address for me, or if it's just going.
Well, it's in the last couple of weeks. I'd have to go back, but.
And what was the two roads?
East Thompson Road and New Road.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I'll search for that email. Okay, and Leslie?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Amy, to circle back, here, I'll turn my video on, is to, I kind of put a timeline together and suggested to Trails of when to communicate with Rich, but if you can, in a meeting with him, ask, what is the timeline of when they're establishing winter projects, spring projects, summer projects, for me as rec director and for Trails as well, to kind of know, how that works. I'm new in this first year, and I know you are too. And so as we sort of see what that cycle is like, I think if you can ask Rich, what does that look like, and what's the timeline of when he kind of would like this. I know he's really working on putting together, like he just did for you, putting together those sort of seasons of work and getting his scope of work under, because he is getting it from all directions, as you know, from that last meeting we have. And the more we can, I think, give him a concise list, so that he can wrap his head around all of those projects and prioritize when he has them all at once.
Right.
Will just help us accomplish more. So that's what I think one of the reasons why we've had success with the projects that we established in January is because they were all the projects listed at once and not one after another after another.
Right. True. Absolutely.
You could ask him what that timeline is like and how does he kind of,
Oops,
is it,
there you go.
how he establishes his calendar. Is it a 6-month time? Is it a seasonal time? And what would be best, in communicating those projects. Of course, there's emergencies that come up for safety issues of things that have to be addressed right away, like, the lights and those kinds of things. But, the more we can group those projects together and present them to him at once, I think it won't overwhelm, DPW, and they can prepare for those things.
Mm-hmm. And obviously things like weather play a part too. And thankfully we've had some good weather. Any other questions, further discussion?
I just want to make sure I got a concrete answer that it's not a safety issue.
I don't believe it's as much of a safety issue as what Karen pointed out. We're likely to get somebody hit by a car. These local drivers come on these narrow roads real fast. And whether it's a bicycle that's trying to cross there or a pedestrian that's trying to cross there, a car coming south on
I
East
agree, but
Thompson
I'm
Road.
really asking about the trail that we have on the agenda. Is that a safety issue that it should be closed? And who would
No.
make that assessment?
I don't think that it's a safety issue that it needs to be closed. I
Okay,
think
okay,
it's an issue that should be addressed, and maybe the weeds are as much of a safety issue, because who can be hiding in them?
okay, but
But,
nobody's, okay. I agree with you about the corner. I'm familiar with the corner and the way the two roads intersect, but I think that needs to be a separate agenda item for another discussion.
I'll bring,
I agree.
as far as the pedestrian crossing sign, I'll speak to Rich about that tomorrow. No. Okay.
Okay.
All right, moving on to agenda item 8. I'm sorry, agenda item 9.
9.
Discussion and possible action, establishment of rehabilitation area. So just to give everybody a little bit of background, back in early April, I received a message from John Gumpert with his request for tax relief. And what he was requesting didn't fit into the statutory guidelines of what we could offer for tax relief for a developer coming into town. So on April 27th, and this should have been shared with Suzanne and Ken, our attorney, one of his associates, Michael Collins, drafted a memo giving us the options, municipal options for tax relief for developers. John Gumpert was looking for 20 years. There were 2 options, and the one that stood out as being most viable and the closest to what Mr. Gumpert was looking for tax relief would require us establishing what's called a rehabilitation area. So I'll just cite it. It's from Connecticut General Statutes 12-65E. It said there is more involved with this process. So try to condense this for you, because it's hard to condense. The statute authorizes such a municipality upon application from the owner of the real property who agrees to construct new multifamily rental housing on such property to enter into an agreement to fix the assessment of the property during the period of rehabilitation and construction. So that's what he's looking for. He's just looking to fix the tax assessment to keep his tax stable while he's doing the construction. As of the date of the agreement, but not longer than 7 years. So that gives him 7 years at a fixed rate. Upon completion of the construction, or after the 7 years, the statute authorizes the deferral of any increase in the assessment attributable to such construction for a period not to exceed 11 years. The increase would be added in increments of at least 10% annually until 100% of such increase has been assessed. So it would be 10% increments, bringing it up to the full value. I did speak to our new assessor, and I spoke to Rainey about their thoughts on this. Rainey in particular is in full agreement of moving forward with this option. And Paul he's very versed in this whole situation in tax relief for developers of brownfield properties, etc.
Paul is the new assessor?
Yes.
Okay.
So he was very confident that he'd be able to work at such time with Mr. Gumpert to develop this plan.
Okay.
How the taxes might look.
Okay.
18 years from now.
Okay.
What the value of the property might be based on the number of units, the retail space that might be there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How much the building might be valued 7 years from now, and then 18 years, up to 18 years. So the complicating factor with the application of Connecticut General Statute 12-65E is that it requires the municipality has complied with the provisions of Connecticut General Statutes 12-65D in designating the municipality or part thereof as a rehabilitation area. Rehabilitation area is defined by Connecticut General Statutes to mean any municipality or a part thereof that contains one or more properties that are deteriorating, substandard, or detrimental to the safety, health, and welfare of the general economic well-being of the community. It requires that a resolution to establish criteria for eligibility of the real property within the designated area to include the initial condition of the property, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Here's the sticking point. A public hearing must be held before a resolution can be adopted with the normal notice requirements. There was a second memo that got sent out that discusses the specifics on moving forward and adopting a resolution. At this point, what I'm looking for from the Board of Selectmen is just consensus or approval that we can move forward and begin to establish the rehabilitation area. At this point, after speaking with Tira, we're thinking between Route 200, where the old Belding Corticelli site is, all the way to Route 131. And that would be the real rehabilitation area. So within certain defined boundaries, if a developer came along and wanted to develop a multifamily housing, like a 5-family unit that was deteriorating, I think it's up to 3-family that you can get your tax assessment held for the 7 years and then et cetera, you know.
So they would all be able to apply for or have this tax relief? Anybody
within that rehabilitation area, right? And Putnam uses a very similar. In fact, I think they use that same statute for one of their relief packages that they offer to people.
Well, the establishment of that rehabilitation area kind of coordinates in with the bar grant that we're finishing up as we speak. It all goes hand in hand. So this is something that we should do in order to continue with that revitalization of that corridor between 13112 and Route 200.
Right. So from this point, I mean, it would be my goal to move forward and get a public hearing because we have to do it no more than 15, we have to notify the public no more than 15 days and no less than 10 days. And then we'll do one more notification. And so we'll schedule a time within the next couple of weeks would be my plan to have a public hearing. At that point, we'll have an actual official resolution that will be drafted to meet the Connecticut General Statute that will be available for public viewing ahead of time. I think it has to go in with the ad potentially. And then there'll be a public hearing and yeah, a vote.
Yeah, give yourself enough time in order to answer the questions
Right.
about how the rehabilitation area is going to affect that corridor.
Right.
You know, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions, and that may be something that we may need the town attorney to also be present to
Oh,
answer.
absolutely. He'll definitely be present for the public hearing. I just would really like to see this moving forward for John Gumpert. He's anxious to get financing started. I'd really like to see this resolution in place within a month.
So you're not looking for a motion here. You're just looking for a consensus.
Consensus to move forward.
I would agree with moving forward.
I'm in agreement.
Okay. All right. So let's move forward and I'll get the work started on that tomorrow then.
Okay.
All right.
What is next?
Other business. Okay, so agenda item 10, other business. As I said, I was approached by Chris and Andrea Smith, and all I'm looking for, I just want the approval to write a letter to the state DOT requesting that, or giving sort of our permission as a Board of Selectmen for them to put bus signs. So that would have to be.
Where is that again?
So you know where the medical center is?
Yes.
Lynn Thompson, at the base of the exit ramp, whatever exit number that is now. The daycare is right next to that next house.
Oh, okay.
It's just a converted home right before the condo units.
Is that a new daycare?
It's been there for a couple of years. Probably, ooh, gosh, maybe about 7. It's been quite a while.
Well, my kids aren't so little anymore.
I drive by it every day, so.
They have buses that stop there. That's
kids get dropped off, kids after school, sometimes older kids, younger kids. I can see how it could be a safety issue.
Me
And the
too.
signs they're talking about are those big, bold fluorescent ones that have the bus and the reflectors and such on them.
Okay.
So
However you want to word it.
yeah, I'll entertain a motion to give permission for the Selectmen's office to write a letter saying that the Board of Selectmen approve the addition of signs, bus signs near the Country Garden Daycare. So I'll entertain that motion.
Second.
I'll entertain a motion. I don't want to make the motion because I'm writing the
Oh,
letter.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. And we are back to agenda item 11, citizens' comments. Last call, citizens' comments. Hearing none, I'd move to agenda item 7, and there are no tax refunds.
Yay.
Yay.
Wait till next month.
Agenda, oh, right, exactly. Agenda item 8. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's 8:14. Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Okay.